Hi, my name is Terry Tewksbury, and this is my receptive language in-service and lesson plan. Today I'm going to be working on receptive language as well as vocabulary. I'm going to be using WH questions with the students, and when they come in I would tell them, today we're going to read a story of Jack and the Beanstalk, but before we begin we're going to be using our WH questions of what and when and why and where. And we're going to be using three of the elements of a story, which are character, that's the who is in the story. That could be people or animals. We're going to use the where of the story, and that's setting. That's what setting means, is where does it take place. And we're going to use the plot and what is happening in the story. What do you think might happen next, and making those predictions. So I would make sure they understood that verbiage, that language before I began, and then I would begin reading the story, Jack and the Beanstalk. And now pay attention and listen, because we're listening for those cues. And I might start with, my name is Jack, the Beanstalk lad, and I'm the ogre Jack made mad. I lost our milk cow in a trade. You got 5 beans? That's all you made? Now this might be a good time to stop and ask, why is Jack's mom upset? Why is she disappointed? Or you can use bigger words with certain students, and use the pictures as clues for those who need it. And I would ask them to make that prediction of what do you think might happen next. After continuing through the story and having stopped and asked some of those questions, I would have students come up and choose a story wand that has our who, what, when, where questions on it. And if they're able to read it themselves, great. And if not, then I would help them who was in the story and see how many characters, and use that vocabulary again. How many characters can you remember in this story? And what was the story about? Ask another student, what was the plot? That's what this story was about, and tying that, making that connection of the what being the plot, what happened in the story. And what will happen next, that's a good one to stop in the middle with. Who was your favorite character? Remember, and if they get stuck, you can give them some prompts that a character is who. The character is who. So who was in the story? Do you remember who was your favorite character? What was your favorite part? Where is the setting? Remember, setting is the place it happened. So what was the setting of Jack and the Beanstalk? And see if they can remember the castle, or climbing up the stalk, or at Jack's house, making those language connections. Depending on the length of time that I have for that session, and if I'm working one-on-one or in a small group, I have this WH Chipper Chat, which is, the plug is for Super Duper Publications, because they have wonderful things for speech therapy. They have multiple cards with settings. The one that I have out right now is called Downtown Ask Around, so they would have to have some kind of reference point of knowing things that are in a city. So a child who lives on a farm and has never been to a big city, this would be really challenging. So they'd have to have read a story or have some reference point to know how to answer these questions. But there are lots of different choices. The back side of this is an arcade, and there's plenty of other settings to work with. And there are chips that they have. And as they answer questions that are in this book, I would ask, like, who is on the ladder? And as they answer, they get to put a chip down. And I'd go to the next student and ask, who is wearing glasses? And we could go through our who's. There's 10 in each category. Then we could go to what's. What should you do before crossing the street? If they can give you the answer of looking both ways, or hold mom's hand, or whatever it is for them. And as they fill up their card, when they're all done filling up the card, they get to use the magic wand and clean it up, because it's magnetic. So that's an end thing to do. We would end with that because we're focusing on the goals. The game is fun, but the goals are that we're building vocabulary and we are working on receptive language. So another way that I could do this is I could make copies of this and laminate them and have the student circle the answer. Where is the taxi? And they could find the taxi and circle. Where is the helicopter? Circle it. What is the name of the restaurant. If they can read it, Dolly's Diner, or circle it. If you have time and it's just one child and they want to color, I would not give more than 3 crayons because the task is not coloring. The goal is understanding the language and the vocabulary. So you don't want them to get too distracted with the coloring. So I hope that gives you some ideas of what you could do. You can extend the activity. You could go to a more difficult, challenging story for the older grades, ask more of the how, why questions for the older students. Those are more challenging. If it's too difficult, I'd stay to the who and the where, not the what, why, and how. So you can add to it if they need more, and you can take away some of those elements if they're struggling. Give them prompts when they need it, but keep them as minimal as possible. Okay, thank you so much.